What's up, everyone? It's 7 o'clock. It's time for Community Connections instead of WP Blab with Bridget and Jen Miller. And tonight we have our guest, Yvette Sonneveld from the Netherlands. And she's going to talk to us about volunteering in the WordPress community and something she calls voluntourism. Hey there, Jen. You want to tell us a little bit more while we have Yvette on as a guest? Or not? Jen Miller? Yvette, why don't you tell us a little bit how you came to WordPress and what your why you started volunteering?
Oh yeah, thank you. I almost feel like I'm starting to be like WordPress old school. So I started way back in 2006. Before that I was hand coding HTML websites, and I was approached by a few clients to see if I could get their website show up higher in Google. And some of them weren't even listed yet. So here I was reading about it, and I was getting about 9 months at that point to get listed with Google. And then I read about WordPress, and people said, you get listed in like 24 hours. Oh, that sounds fun. So I created my first WordPress website, got it listed in 24 hours, and never looked back.
Wow.
So that's kind of my WordPress story. I've created dozens of sites in the meanwhile. And at the time I started with WordPress, I lived in Ontario. And when we moved back to Curacao, I didn't have much of a network, and there were not a lot of trainings. So at some point, I think it was 2014, my husband kind of encouraged me to venture out on my own, to do some trips and traveling on my own. I thought, why don't I try to do a combination of some study and some travel by myself? So I discovered WordCamps, and initially I just signed up, bought my ticket to go to Miami, which was a 2.5 hour flight. So it wasn't too bad. And then the invitation to be a volunteer came out, and I thought, you know what? Myself in a conference where I don't know a lot of people, volunteering may be a good way to just connect. So what I did is I subscribed, but I never heard back. And I subscribed again, and I didn't hear anything. Now, of course, I mean, anything could have happened. I don't know, and it doesn't really matter, because I was going anyways. So what happened was on the first WordCamp day, I just showed up at 7. Hey, can I help? And I helped, and from that moment on, I had my first volunteer gig.
Wow. That's amazing.
It is. And I had so much fun that weekend. So it's kind of addictive too, I must say.
So the first WordCamp that you volunteered was at which one?
Miami in 2014. Miami. Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So that's a pretty big camp. What did they have you doing? Did you have a request or?
Well, no, because for some reason they didn't know I was coming. So when I showed up at the venue, some people were just unloading a car. So we started with unloading a car. And then when the boxes were unloaded, we all kind of went to a registration area. And some people started unpacking boxes with registration tags. So I started doing that and then alphabetizing them. And before I knew it, I was registering people. It just kind of happened.
Wow, that's amazing. Because I had to be kind of like asked.
Yeah. As in people really approached you, or
yeah, they literally I was asked, would you do the social media for this WordCamp? Sure. And that's how I started volunteering.
That's fun too.
Jen, what do you think? Oops, we lost Jen. Oh no.
I hope she feels included.
Well-
She's got to feel included.
Poor Jen. So what was the one thing that you took away from that experience in 2014 that kept you volunteering?
Well, two things. That you never should be afraid to just go, because there's always stuff to do. Even if something goes iffy with your registration. And two, that it's an awesome way to get to know people from all over the world. Because many of those people I'm still in touch with. And that's one of the fun things, of course, of this day and age with social media. I mean, you start getting to know people during a conference, and then you build on that on social media. And then you meet again at another conference, and before you know, you've been friends for 5 years.
Wow. So who's the farthest person you met when you went to Miami?
The farthest person, well, actually, that was fun because they were living in the Netherlands. And at that point, I lived in a part of the Netherlands, which is a small island in the Caribbean. It's called Curacao. So even while we had the same nationality, we were like an ocean apart. So that camp, there were more people from Europe and some from Latin America.
Wow.
It was not as huge as WordCamp Europe, where we had like 92 nationalities.
Yeah. WordCamp Europe is really big. And that's where we met you.
Yay!
So then after Miami,
about 6 months later, I had this dream of going to Boston. And I needed a reason to go to Boston because Boston is a big city and I would go there by myself. And so there I came across just this little, because the timing of WordCamp Boston didn't work for me. So there was one about 2 hours away in Providence. And again, I signed up as a volunteer. And this time I knew about that, how being a volunteer worked. So I reached out to them and I said, you know what? I've been a volunteer before. You want my help? And I think that also is more comfortable for organizers, that if someone comes from abroad and you're not used to volunteers from abroad, the fact that you've done one already builds confidence.
yes.
So I went there, I did registration again because, hey, I did that before, so that was helpful. And it was a compact WordCamp, like 150 people. So, and there were a lot of volunteers. So we just did registration during those 2 days, and it was a lot of fun.
So registration, that's what I volunteered to do this year at WordCamp Orange County.
Yeah.
Because I started to know people, so it's easier for me to say, hey, Joe, how you doing? Oh, here's your badge or whatever. Did you find that being part of registration helped you connect with the attendees better?
Yes, in a way, and also to make them feel welcome. Because if you see that lineup in front of you, you see a lot of nervous faces because they've never done this and they don't know what is going to happen.
Right, right.
And especially at WordCamp Europe, that was so huge. You could see that like deer in the headlight face.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I try to just look up the name on the tag and then call them by their names if I have a good moment. If I have an even better moment and I know their language, I'll say some words in their language.
That's really good. I mean, even at Orange County, we had kind of a big line. So while we were in the line talking to people, Jen Miller was kind of pre-greeting them. And she said that was a really good experience, right, Jen?
She's still not hearing us.
Not hearing us. Oh, the technology. But yeah, she did.
Right. Well, and I had lots of people tell me it made a difference in their entire WordCamp experience.
Yay, there she is.
Yay.
Oh, I just spoke to you. Could you not hear me?
No, we can hear you.
Oh.
We got it. We can hear you. It's all good.
We can hear you. Can you hear us now?
It's good.
I don't know what is going on right now.
Can she still not hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
in like real time?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, and what I was gonna say.
Go ahead. Good loser.
Okay, what I was gonna say was, sorry, there's an echo, and so I'm just trying to figure out why this is going on. It's probably just a bad internet connection. Jason Tucker is gonna kill me, but anyway, the thing that I noticed about WordCamp Europe was when you said that deer in the headlights look. I noticed that at least that first day on a lot of people, because for many it was probably the first time they took a metro or even an Uber. And they're in a different community, they're in a different country, they're not quite sure what their day is going to look like for the rest of the day, and they've arrived at this place where suddenly they're welcomed by their community, by WordPress, and everything becomes familiar, and the friends are there, and you, Yvette, helped to make that happen for people, and that was pretty cool, I would say.
Yeah, but it works. You really see that it works both ways, because if you see people lighten up when you welcome them, it pays back in such an amazing way as well. Because I mean, it's one of the things that I tend to say to people: this volunteering in this group that is so warm and welcoming is such a confidence builder.
Oh, totally.
And
because it's like, even speaking, one of my friends said to me, Bridget, nobody's in the crowd waiting for you to fail. Everybody's rooting for you. And that's the difference between the WordPress community and other tech communities, or other communities in general.
It's so true. It's so true. I attended another internet marketing conference a few years ago, and at the same time, another internet marketing community was happening, and people in the conference where I was we're all making jokes about how in the other conference people were what I sometimes call gorillaing at each other.
Vlogging. I'm Jen Miller, and I'm about to share with you what really works. Today's episode.
What's that?
Jen was playing a podcast. I don't know. Jason Tucker's gonna kill us. That's all I have to say.
Sorry, Jason.
Well, it's fine. But she's getting her thing happening over there. It's just, what's so funny is that every time we do this show, there's always technical difficulties. And we think that Jason Tucker is just this amazing magician that can make this Google Hangout thing work, Yeah. But anyway, so after you first volunteered at WordCamp Miami 2014, was that your first WordCamp?
Yes, it was.
So you started going to WordCamp as a volunteer?
I did.
Wow.
And like I said, that kind of happened because first I signed up just as an attendee. And then the call for volunteers came, and I thought, hey, you know what? When I'm traveling to a conference by myself, that may actually come in really handy, because not only I do get to give back to this community that helps me pay the bills has been helping me pay the bills for like years.
Right.
And I get to connect with other people.
Exactly. So this year at WordCamp Europe, you signed up for Contributor Day, which is how you and I met.
Yes.
Would you like to tell our Community Connections audience why you decided to become a WordPress contributor? Or had you done it before?
No, I had not done it before. I'm not sure. I don't think at that Miami or Providence event there were contributor days. But I noticed that there was one this time, and since I was traveling anyways, I thought, you know what? Let's do that. And then again, this time with this huge conference. I mean, like 3,000 were expected. And I was kind of hesitant about that because I kind of expected a sense of overwhelm to happen. So,
I mean,
so then,
wait a second. Let's just dial that back for a second. Contributor day was 500. That was overwhelming to me. But continue on.
it was. But I had been in limbo or about whether or not I was going to go in the first place because of this huge group. So knowing that and kind of kicking myself in the booty because there's always a reason to not go, right?
Right.
I thought, if then I at least go to Contributors Day first and be on a smaller team, because yes, it's going to be like 500, but soon after that, you'll branch out and you'll be in a room with, 10, 20, 30 people. That
Right.
makes a difference.
That does make a big difference.
I can hear you.
That's
Yeah.
great. So,
Okay, with Google Chrome. I'm no longer allowed to come on the show on Google Chrome.
Okay.
No
Noted.
idea why.
Okay, well, now that you're here, which I'm super glad, I was catching up our viewers on how I know Yvette. Now, I'm going to say Yvette and Dwayne had my right hand and my back at Contributor Day in WordCamp Europe. We set up Trello boards. They got everybody going, and that has brought a lot of infrastructure to the community team. So volunteering was her way of easing the tensions of attending a WordCamp, but then gave her reasons to travel. And that's why she was calling it Voluntourism. So what kind of questions do you have for her, Jen?
So have you already talked about the other WordCamps that she's traveled to?
Just Providence, Rhode Island, and Miami.
Okay.
And Europe, of course.
And what would you say, Yvette, was the biggest difference between going to a camp in a European country versus going to one in the United States?
Now, of course, the ones in the United States were local camps. So while there was, especially Miami had an international diversity, Providence was smaller, was like 150 people. And there were not a lot of internationals there. Which is not a problem because I enjoyed it either way. Europe was huge. Europe was, like I told Bridget, I was really afraid that Europe would turn out to be really overwhelming. But I made myself go anyways, and I'm so glad that I did.
And so are we.
Yeah, for sure.
So did you find that at Europe you developed your own little micro community, even though it was so big?
Absolutely, because what happened is, I've been living in the Americas for the past 15 years before I moved back to the Netherlands last summer. So most of my WordPress and internet marketing community was in the US, and I didn't have a lot of connections in the Netherlands. So what happened during WordCamp at first, because I joined the marketing team and there were one or two other Dutchies there, I got to hang out with the Americans again, made a lot of friends. And then during the conference, I got to know some more Dutch people, and it was having fun with them as well. And then I spoke some Spanish and a few words of German. So yeah, it gets you places even within a conference.
And have you found that since you returned home, that having that experience has changed how you feel about your community locally and how you feel about your own WordPress experience?
Well, absolutely. First of all, about 2 weeks later, I joined my first meetup in the Netherlands. So
cool.
I got to know more people.
Nice.
And I got to speak to some of the speakers that were at Europe. So that was fun too. And again, well, it's some of the things when I started, first hand coding websites and then creating WordPress websites, I didn't have a tech background. I just taught myself by books and online courses. So I kind of never had that reference about how I measured up. And every time I go to any conference, WordCamp or others, I see that one, my knowledge has grown, my experience has grown, and I see that I have something to contribute, which is an amazing confidence builder.
Absolutely. And then now that you've gone to your local meetup, how do you feel about meetups?
Yeah, it's great. It's much smaller. So if you tend to shy away from larger conferences, by all means start at a meetup. Because the meetup where I was, I think there were like 30, 35 people. And that has its own sense of scary because you walk into a room and you're seen, you cannot hide in the masses. Right. But with this community, this WordPress community, everyone will go the extra mile to make you feel welcome. And that is such a difference. It's not, there's not this sense of, and who are you?
Right.
Absolutely.
Which sometimes I've been lucky to not have been at events like that for years at least. That's not encouraging. But here, people ask about your WordPress story, and before you know, you've been talking for 5 minutes, and the ice has been broken.
And have you found that some of the people at your local meetup are also on the marketing team, and that you're seeing them in make.wordpress.com in those channels?
Not during this meetup. The one other Dutchie that that has been on the marketing team so far. There's been two. They live up north, so like an hour and a half away from where I live. So I haven't met them at that meetup, but I'll meet them again because there's going to be a lot of WordCamps this year in the Netherlands. I heard number 4 was announced.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. And then you're planning on going to 2 more this year, correct?
Yes, I signed up for Nijmegen, which is in September, and then for Utrecht, which is going to be in November.
Excellent.
And both of them, I signed up to be a volunteer again. And which is even more fun is my son is going to join me at Contributors Day in Nijmegen, if they'll allow him. Because he's bilingual too, so he wants to see if he can do some stuff with translation, so on a polyglot team.
Fantastic.
So we'll see how that goes. He's 13 years old, and he needs some more stuff to do and to build confidence, and it's going to be fun. I'm pretty sure.
And it's a perfect community to have him welcome into.
Yeah. We had 15, 16 years old coming to Europe even.
Right. So what did you think of all the cultures that came to Europe in terms of how did you find that you related? Did you find that there was any barriers because of language, or were you able to easily get past that with a smile? Was English a common language that everyone seemed to speak? You know, I only spoke with the people I talked to, and of course they spoke English because they were talking to me. But I don't know what other people's experience were, and so I wanted to know.
Yes, language skills in Paris were amazing. People all were well able to express themselves in English and to have wonderful conversations. And there's kind of this sense of let's geek out together.
And so what did you do in your free time when you weren't at the conference?
Well, I wasn't. I was staying in this hotel just next to a bridge where a lot of Syrians were living, and I felt really, really sad for them. And at the same time, I kind of didn't dare crossing that bridge by myself. But I was really, really lucky to have a lot of other WordCampers in the hotel, so I got to share Ubers with them. I went to the volunteers dinner and hang out with some fellow Dutchies, which was really, really fun. And then the after party, we went there with the whole group too. So that was a mix of Belgium and Dutch people
and Americans.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were at the party. We went there. We Ubered there with the Dutchies.
Right.
And then I meet you guys again and some other people. So
I like, because we were obviously there because we have a picture, right?
yes,
The three of us.
Ridiculous
so fun.
photo booth. Oh
That
my
was so fun. So fun. And the dance floor, could you believe that?
They did that really, really, really well.
It's definitely the only rave I've ever been to.
Can you believe that? I mean, this photo booth, it wasn't rocket science, right? But I went there to take a picture with another group, and we took the picture, but we never got to print and we never got to send the picture. We hadn't figured it out yet.
Did you get to ride the WordCamp train?
I didn't. I could have gotten, but I just never thought of it.
Oh, that was an experience.
I saw the video. It was so fun.
So Bridget and I got on this train that we thought was going to take us through the countryside to kind of see what was around that chateau that we were having the party at. And it doesn't. It goes around the forest and keeps going.
And on the freeway.
On the freeway, we're in this little rickety, like, carousel train. People are almost hitting the back of it.
All the way to the metro.
So much crazy in Paris.
And then the driver just stops, and we're just sitting there going, "What do we do now?"
So what? Now what?
But seriously, you make a great point about voluntourism. Just to bring this train back on its tracks, Yvette, because I never would have gone to Paris if it wasn't for Contributor Day.
Absolutely.
That's literally what pushed me over, besides Jen Miller speaking. It's exciting. But that was what pushed me over.
Pressure was already there, but that pushed her over. So.
That pushed me over.
Yep. And we all had different reasons. You know, I wanted to go to Paris.
Sorry about that. Yeah.
It's okay. I don't know when you can hear me. I can't. So I'm sorry. Yeah.
We just started talking at the same time, which happens when you have three girls together.
Only sometimes.
Just sometimes. But yeah, I would have never traveled by myself to Miami if not for the WordCamp. And then one led to another and another and another, because I started with 2 WordCamps. Then I did a bunch of other internet marketing conferences. And now that I'm back in Europe, I did another WordCamp again. And that leads to more opportunities. And not only to other WordCamps, but like other opportunities. Like, here I am, a Dutchie, again, having a conversation online on Google Hangouts, of all places, about volunteering with people at the other side of the world, 9 hours apart.
Yes, thank you for waking up early for us. We're so glad to have you on the show.
I'm so glad my alarm went off. And I heard it. But so yeah,
that's okay.
One opportunity leads to another again and again, and that's what starts happening when you start stretching yourself and doing things that you may have never held possible.
And it's beyond stretching yourself, even, because you have a family, and you're stretching everybody when you're gone. I'm sure. I know my family has to back me up in order for me to go places. And so what is that like when you travel to the United States, when you travel to Europe?
It's stretching them, absolutely. And back when I lived in this lovely little island called Curacao, I had an amazing babysitter that could help out. Right now, it's a little bit more complicated. So my husband has to pitch in more, and he loves to do that for me because he likes to travel by himself for his own passions too. And while my kids don't like that I'm gone, every time when I get back, I feel like I'm kind of more appreciated for a day or two.
You become this local celebrity?
Well, it's more like, oh, Mom, we missed you. We love you. And we're happy you're back kind of thing. But, well, yeah, it only lasts for a day or two.
My kids love souvenirs, so
Oh yeah,
that adds
yeah,
to the glory, I think.
it does. It really does. And I was so happy with the fidget spinners because
Exactly. Well,
that
and,
definitely was a hit.
and we have this, anytime I go to Europe, I bring back those Kinder eggs because they're not allowed to be made in the United States.
Oh, they don't?
No, it's choking hazard something. I don't know. They banned them. Oops. Never mind. Anyway, my kids love souvenirs.
Yeah.
So Yvette, what do you tell people who say, you know, it's a lot of money to put out, just go to WordCamp, it isn't in your local community, blah, 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 blah. What do you say to that?
Sorry, one more time because you were breaking up this time.
To the people who are naysayers, who think
Yeah.
that it's not worth spending the money to go to volunteer, whether you're an organizer or a speaker, whatever, it's all volunteering. What do you say to those people?
If you have a good reason, and by all means, we have reasons to not be able or willing to be able to spend the $30 or $40 or euros to go to WordCamp like this. Especially if you use WordPress to make money while it's being created by volunteers. Try to find some time and give back to that community. Not because you have to, but because you can. And you'll find out that it pays off in so many more ways that you can ever imagine. But you have to come with a positive attitude.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Not with one of entitlement, because community doesn't work like that. It's a giving and receiving, and it's got to be in a balance kind of thing. But you'll find that people are extremely helpful, and you'll learn new stuff, and you get to know new people. And we haven't even talked about all the talks where you really learn new techniques and trends and everything that's going on. And if you don't want to volunteer, I mean, by all means, it's 30, 40 euros for a whole weekend. Compare that to another conference.
well, right. I mean, even if you have hotel and lodging, you're still not paying like $1,600 for social media marketing world.
Yeah,
Which
there.
is like your mortgage. Or two, if you live in Pittsburgh. I just saw a house for rent for $700. I'm like, why do I live in California? Anyway.
Because you have 5 WordCamps in California.
I know, it's crazy. So, do you have a story that you would want to tell of something that really impacted you while you were volunteering that you didn't expect?
Yeah.
Well, I figured you had at least one.
Well,
right?
like 3 weeks ago, I went to Paris, and I I got started at a Contributors Day, and after the welcome talk, I kind of moved to the marketing room, and there was this sweet little girl, kind of, okay, help! There's not enough chairs.
we were missing about 2/3 of the chairs we needed. Okay.
Because all of a sudden, 30 people showed up, and I expected 10.
I know, it was crazy.
So, but no, the amazing story about that is, even while I was nervous, it kind of got me into let's help out here mode without, I mean, pushing that button intentionally. And that led to friendships and connections with you and with other people. And here I am contributing to the marketing team on a regular basis. I mean, you'll find me in Slack. A year ago, I hadn't heard of Slack.
Welcome to my world. Now you can't get off if you want to save your life.
Exactly. So, like I said, again, well, it's kind of the message of the whole thing. It really gets you places, not only around the world, but also in teams that you get to. I mean, I'm helping out create WordPress, spreading the word, building bridges.
It's amazing, actually, when you think about it.
It's so with people from all over the world. I mean, there's really in the marketing team, we're like 300, 400, and not everybody contributes all the time.
Right.
But we're from all over the world.
UK, Netherlands, San Francisco, Orange County, India,
Yeah.
New York,
the
Brazil,
middle,
Spain,
New York.
Croatia.
There's like mid-country places. I mean, it's like I started accepting friend requests from places I used to think were hackers. Just not gonna say because now those are my friends. So, but but I used to be like, oh, it's from this place. I'm not going to. No, like I'm friends with people in Romania and Serbia, and Bulgaria and India and Ukraine and and wherever. It's crazy. It's great. Like even if you didn't care about traveling, being a volunteer for make.wordpress.org also counts as being a volunteer, obviously.
Absolutely.
And you do these team building things all the time in person and online. It's amazing. Now you have these friends from all over the world, and it does. A lot of people say that travel changes your perception and makes you more accepting and tolerant. I'm not sure if that's true as much as you get to see what about your tolerances. I know that I like air conditioning. That's what I learned about myself from traveling to Paris.
and
I learned that I could do it, and I learned that I like the humidity to be removed from the air.
I know. I was lucky to have air conditioning in my hotel. I was very thankful for that.
But I mean, that's what's so cool. That's why Jen was like, we got to have a show about connecting the community, because this is the power of WordPress. And if I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. You can't have a thriving code base without a thriving community. So I'm sure
I love that. I love that's, and it's so true. And well, to tell a little bit more about what you say, or to highlight a little bit more about traveling gets you more patient and more open. It does, if you're opening yourself up to it. Because if you just stay in your hotel room and go to your attraction and you don't connect with people, no, it won't happen. But if you have conversations, all of a sudden you see that the way you thought life was supposed to happen is not the only way that life can happen, and it can be just as much fun and just as interesting and just as well arranged at the other side of the world.
Right.
Well, and
But in order to really get a feel for that, well, that's one of my pet peeves. If you get a chance to live abroad for a year, do so.
Bridget, put that on your list.
Live abroad?
Live abroad for a year.
Oh.
Really?
Well, after Sully dies.
Ooh, ouch.
Why wouldn't you be able to bring Sully?
He has Addison's disease and has to have a shot every 25 days to stay alive.
Well, and they don't have
being
that in Europe?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what their health care is. I know it's single payer. We don't have to talk about politics. I don't know if they're willing to keep my dog alive. I am.
Oh dear. I was 7 months pregnant when I traveled to Colombia. And people from the Netherlands were, you go where? They told my husband, you take her where? And he was answering them, okay, listen, if we have complicated medical situations on our little island, we send people to Colombia because their healthcare is so excellent.
Wow.
And I have almost never felt more welcomed in a country than in Colombia.
Colombia. In South America, you mean?
In South America, yes. It's
Wow.
an amazing country. And of all the countries that I traveled, they have a family desk for immigration. So you can sit with your kids and they just check your passports and then you can go on and they pick you out of the line and you get preference. It's the most family friendly country that I know.
That's
And I love
really
traveling in
cool.
the US, but this is cool.
Yeah, we don't have family friendly. It's one at a time. If you come twice, it took me 2 hours to get back into the country. But anyway, I'm sure Jen has more questions.
Well, and we did find out a hack though for getting back in quicker.
Yeah.
Bridget, one of our friends who travels a lot, says just ask for a wheelchair when you get off the plane. So sad. But he said if you're really concerned, which I wasn't, Bridget wasn't, but you know, it takes you 2 hours. You do think about options.
Yeah. you start dreaming about new WordCamps and new adventures.
Exactly.
Well, after the jet lag recovery, that's no joke, people.
But yeah, people get traveling. It's amazing. It really, really is.
Well, and that was something interesting that you had told me, Yvette, was every WordCamp you've gone to has been in your same time zone. That's amazing.
So far, when I was living in Curacao, I mean, where I traveled mostly was Eastern time zone, so there was no time difference. Right now, though, if I fly to the US, I have this 6 hour to bridge. That is painful.
Wow,
So,
yeah.
Are you planning on coming for WordCamp US then in Nashville?
I would love, love, love to. Right now, I cannot travel for more than 5 days at a time because of my husband's work schedule.
Oh, yeah, bummer.
Well, maybe that'll change in November. We'd love to see you again.
It won't change this year, but it will change in the future. At some point, I'll be able to be gone for a week to 9 days again. So it will, and then I will travel to the US again. And I have a very, very good reason to travel to Nashville. I have some friends living there, and WordCamp US maybe in another town again. But I'll know people now. So again.
Great.
That's so true, though. Like, I can't even believe how many people I've met since October of last year traveling to cities I've never been to.
Yeah.
In my whole life. At 43 years old, now I'm 44. I've been to like so many cities. I can't even believe it. And I'm going to Ottawa next weekend.
She's using the passport now that she has it.
Yeah, I have a passport, people. This is crazy.
Yay.
I know the person who literally likes to Netflix and chill. Like the original meaning, which means you're in bed watching TV. And that's it. Maybe with ice cream, that's me.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Okay, so let's get back to this voluntourism. So while you were at WordCamp Paris, because that's the most, or WordCamp Europe, because that's the most recent one, what did you tour? Where did you eat?
Well, that's kind of the sad part of this story because of the location where I was, and because of the tight schedule, because I travel, because I kind of decided to really go. I mean, I had my tickets and I had signed up as a volunteer, but I kind of pushed my decision whether or not I would go forward. So plane tickets were expensive and train tickets were expensive, so we decided to drive, but it's a 5-hour drive. And I could only be gone for 5 days. So I drove on Wednesday. I drove in on Wednesday. Then Thursday, Friday, Saturday was conference. I drove back on Sunday. So I didn't do a lot of Paris this time, but I had been in Paris twice before. So I could live without. And I kept my eating simple this time because of the Ubers and all the stuff.
Right.
But that was okay. In Miami, I did a lot of stuff because I had my own car, and getting around by car in Miami is a lot easier than in Paris.
Yes.
In Providence, I did the same thing, and there I went out to get to. Sometimes I make a wish list of things that I want to eat. So I'll find restaurants that serve that, and I'll go there.
How do you search? Yelp?
Part Yelp, part Google reviews. I usually download a travel guide or two, and then I'll see some good restaurants that they recommend, and I'll check out their menus and that I want to eat. Yeah, let's go there.
So did you know?
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, going into WordCamp Europe, did you know you were going to be that pressed for time, or did you have a chance to dream a little and look things up online and kind of consider, okay, if I have a break here, what am I going to do?
I was planning, there's this musée, it's called Musée d'Orsay, and I have very good memories of that. And that I wanted to do, and it didn't happen. But that's okay, because once again, I mean, it is a 5-hour drive, but it's only a 5-hour drive. And my daughter still really loves to go to Paris. So somewhere within the next year, I may very well be in Paris again, either driving or on a train or whatever, where I get to do that with her.
Oh, that would be great. I took my daughter to WordCamp Europe with me because she works for my company, and it was a good opportunity for the two of us to be able to go together. And we actually did get to experience the medical system there. So
I saw that.
Another piece. But what was the drive like? You said 5-hour drive. So we could just drive from here to Los Angeles and it could take us 5 hours.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's 65 miles away for people watching who don't know that.
Oh, I can easily imagine that if you go through Paris, you can do you can be in your car for 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I intentionally chose a hotel right at the edge and near to the venue with parking, so that helped. On the way in, I wasn't lucky because I had a huge traffic jam around Antwerp. That took me an hour and a half. So it was a longer drive in. On the way back, it was a Sunday morning. So
Right.
I was back in like 5 hours, and it was a smooth drive.
Excellent.
But yeah, you're lucky or not.
Anything while you were driving? Like, did you pass through country? Was it all city driving?
Well, it was highways and highways. More highways. Yeah, this time.
Languages, same highways.
Yeah. Different language, same highways. Yes. Different color of the road signs. But other than that, yeah, it did. This was, there was no tourism, not a lot of tourism involved in this voluntourism, other than being in a different city. That's still, I mean, you are in a different city, in a different environment, with a lot of people from different communities. So, I mean, voluntourism still goes. It's just not, just without the sites this time.
But you still had some of the food, because at the venue they were serving lunches. Or did they have hot dogs? I didn't see that. But they had chocolate croissants. And
Yeah,
they
the
had,
food was amazing.
yeah, and they had water with and without gas.
They had, and there was amazing desserts. The desserts were so good.
Oh man, the desserts were ridiculous.
They were so
And that coffee au lait, oh mon dieu.
Un
Okay.
café au lait, s'il vous plaît.
That reminds me, Bridget, should we have you tell your story
Nope.
about your restaurant experience?
Nope. It's
Oh,
not
she had a
family
great one.
friendly. I did. I had a really good experience. I will suffice it to say that a French waiter fed me. And we should have been alone for that moment.
And my daughter and I blushed.
So was I. My face was bright red. There's a selfie on Facebook. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to say.
And it's so great that you brought your daughter, Jen.
Not for that moment.
Not. Why not? Hello, this is the world. Nothing indecent
I told
happens.
somebody, they go, and you came back? It was a close call, but I didn't get a
It
visa.
was all PG.
Oh, totally. I'm just giving you guys a hard time.
I know.
Well, and for me, not just that experience, but other experiences throughout the trip. I've been to Paris before, and I've been to other places. We traveled beyond the conference. We didn't just go for the weekend. And watching my daughter have the experiences and seeing it through her eyes and Bridget's eyes, because it was the first time Bridget had been to Paris, was super cool.
It is.
And that's something that I really haven't had the opportunity to see. Usually when I'm traveling, if it's somewhere I haven't been, the people I've been with haven't been either. We're just going. Or if it's a place where I've been multiple times, other people have been multiple times. My family used to go on a trip every year. We just go skiing up to Snowbird. And our kids grew up on that mountain. So it became so familiar so quickly that the fear, the questions, what are we going to do next was never an issue. But in Paris, it's a totally different story. And Belgrade, that's where WordCamp Europe is next year. Are you going to go?
I'd love to, and if I find a way to make it work, I will. I still don't know where I'll be living next year though. So, but if I'm still in the Netherlands, for sure I'll go. If I'm going to be able to break away, yes, I'd love to go. It's definitely very high on my bucket list to be there.
Bridget really wants to go too.
Yeah. Bridget's going to be there. And you guys are coming over to visit the Netherlands.
I do not know about any more European trips in 2017. There will be no European trips in 2017.
Oh, I get that.
We don't know about 2018.
We'll work on that.
I'm not really sure about the former Yugoslavia at this moment. I know I'm having a hard time with it mentally. I'm just going to say it. I know that all of my friends will be there, and I will have major FOMO if I don't go to Belgrade. And I've heard it's amazing and beautiful. And I have friends that are Serbian now, so it's kind of like, how do you not go see your friends?
Exactly.
Friends.
Kind of like India.
Friends are kind of a pain, because then you like them, then you want to visit.
And that's why we continue to do community connections, so that we get more and more friends from all over the world.
Friends are so hard to have. No, for real though, it's like, Serbia? Really, you guys? But I guess if Matt and all those guys are for it, we're good.
We'll see.
Oh man, I don't know. I just don't know what I'm going to be doing travel-wise, but I do know that I had a good experience for my first international travel, and it wasn't as terrifying as I originally thought it was going to be. And being able to Uber was a big deal, because
she's an Uber pro.
Well, now I know how to drop the pin in the right spot. Don't do that. So yeah, I think that I just didn't travel because I was too poor to travel. And now I have opportunity because of WordPress.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like I don't dream because I don't like to be disappointed. But WordPress has allowed me to dream, and my friends that I've met have allowed me to dream, and that could be kind of a good thing. And it's a little risky to have dreams and to say, oh yeah, I'm going. I don't want to say I'm going to Belgrade, and then people are like, how come you're not here? I don't know. But I know that I'm not afraid to go.
Well, that's a good thing. And it's okay to dream, but be unattached.
I don't know how to. I'm an all-in person, Yvette. I don't know if you've noticed that about me yet. But I have a hard time not getting attached to things. So, but yeah, Jen's kind of making fun of me because I was a little shocked about.
I'm not making fun
about that, but it's true. I mean, that's one of the major benefits as far as WordPress goes. Is I have opportunities I didn't even think were possible. So if you can only see this much, how much are you gonna dream, right? Mm-hmm. Like Jen has a story about or daughter and vision. And the thing is, if you only can see so much, that your imagination is limited. But now that because of Give, and you can find out more about Give at givewp.com, the most robust online donation for WordPress, who's not sponsoring this, but does pay for me to go to WordCamps. So there you go.
Shameless plugging.
Yeah, no shame at all, because the blanket isn't showing or whatever. But anyway, I never would have even been to Chicago or Atlanta or Nashville or Philadelphia, let alone Paris or Ottawa. So, I mean,
The world's opened up.
that's the whole blessing about the WordPress community. It's the software lets us work from anywhere.
Yeah.
And then we get friends from everywhere.
Yeah. 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 It's so true. I've run a business from three continents because of WordPress. I just pack up my pink laptop. I move on. I open it up in another continent and I continue working.
It's kind of hard to put your head around when you stop and think that we're like the Jetsons over here. I'm just missing the Roomba. Otherwise, you have the vacuum robot. You know, the robot maid that does everything. I mean, I got a dog that vacuums because he looks everything up. But you know what I mean? Like video chat, real time. You know, you're 9 hours. It's Friday for you. It's Friday at 5 o'clock in the morning.
It is.
Yeah. And it's 8 o'clock at night in California.
Yeah.
And we're still talking because of satellites and computers and silicon.
And because of a
Crazy
software that connected all of us.
that some 18-year-old built 14 years ago. Crazy.
It is.
And that was a
It's
great
amazing.
show for community connections. Yvette, tell everybody how they can find you.
Well, Google me at Google my name, Yvette Sonneveld. That would be YVETTESONNEVELD. And you'll find me on Facebook and on Twitter and on LinkedIn and on my websites, and you'll find me.
And how can people find you, Jen Miller?
You can find me at Jen Blogs for You, the number 4, the letter U, on Twitter and LinkedIn, and Jen Miller on Facebook. Actually, I think I'm Jen Miller and Kids if you're looking for my personal profile. And I also have a website, needsomeonetoblog.com, needsomeone2.com, and we can help you with your content needs, or we can just chat, see where you're at in your WordPress journey.
Should we tell people about our new show?
We totally should.
So Jen and I are going to do a new show that's going to be a live review of your website or social audits. It's going to be called 2 Marketers, 5 Minutes. She will be nice. I will be snarky. Look for us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can find me blogging occasionally about social media, which is my first love at bridgetwillard.com. Otherwise, say hi to me at WordCamp. I'll be at Ottawa, Sacramento, Los Angeles, and WordCamp US. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Be sure to give us a thumbs up. If you didn't like us, give us a thumbs down twice. Wink. And tell Jason Tucker that we didn't mess this show up. And give us some love. Don't forget to subscribe, WPwatercooler, and go to the website, WPwatercooler.com. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.